Good morning, Seal. How are you? Good morning, Sherry. Good morning, Hope. How are you guys doing today? How is everyone? I figured I would jump on before we got knee deep in homeschooling today. So we will see how this turns out. Sometimes I think it might be easier than trying to do downtime and all of the things. Junior actually went with her grandma too to go paint ceramics. So we are just gonna go live and see what happens. Good morning, BC. Good morning, Izzy Rose. I want to go over a couple different case updates because it has been a while since I have really updated you guys on some of these cases. Lily Peters being one of them. If you guys remember, she was the little girl who was murdered by her cousin. And they were searching for her. She was found in the woods, all of that. And it was actually like they're trying him as an adult. It was a planned attack on her, which is extremely unfortunate and disturbing. But let me show you guys this. We'll go through the heavy stuff and then switch gears and talk about some lighter things afterwards. Okay, so Lily Peters, Wisconsin teen charged as adult in 10-year-old's murder, wants the case in juvenile court. So this update was actually September 1st. So of course, I'm about 2 weeks behind on this. Lily Peters 10 was allegedly killed in a horrific manner in April by 14-year-old identified as CTBP.
With great satisfaction on my 32 years on active duty. I understand the veteran mentality. These are people who have served. They've been in leadership positions. They're willing to put their life on the line if necessary. And they come to us and they say, I need some financial help at this point in time. They're not looking for a handout. They're looking for a little hand up. My team at New Day USA is going to do everything we possibly can to make sure that veteran gets that loan.
So Chippewa Falls Police Chief Matthew Kelm joins us now. Chief Kelm, thank you for being here. I think anybody who looks at a picture of this beautiful little girl, your heart just breaks for her. And especially when you hear the terrible, terrible way that she died. There are reports out there that she knew the killer. Is there anything that you can shed light on with regard to who this suspect is, sir?
I really can't. At this point, it's in the hands of the courts, and there's very strict rules on what information can be released. I was very thankful that I could put out to the public that this was not just a stranger, that there was knowledge between the two, that they knew each other, and that provided the community with a sense of relief.
So at this point, obviously they can't legally say his name because he is a minor. He is being charged as an adult, but he is still a minor. They pinpointed basically the prior relationship, the familial history, and I believe it was family and the neighbors who actually put his name out there. They had been seen riding bikes, and he was riding his hoverboard, I believe it was, earlier that afternoon. She had been over there playing, and she was supposed to go home. He talked her into going this way down this trail that led to the woods, and he attacked her. So, and fair use and all that jazz. Fox News, don't strike me.
There are some suggestions that he was a relative, perhaps a cousin. Can you tell us anything about that, sir?
No, unfortunately, I can't really speak to the relationship at this time.
Okay. And just, I understand, and everyone understands the restrictions that you're under, and we obviously want this case to proceed in the way that it should. But with regard to one more question here on this, because there are some reports out there from the Daily Mail that the suspect's father was a convicted pedophile. Can you confirm that report, not about the suspect, but about the father?
No, I have not seen that, and I have not personally looked into that.
Okay. Is there any, was there any communication by cell phone or any other way between the suspect and Lily Peters? Or is that part of the
Well,
investigation?
all those details would be part of the investigation, and I can't go into that right now.
Okay.
The reporters always kill me because they always try to push for questions that they absolutely know can't be answered. But you can't fault them for trying, I guess, to try to get answers for some of these questions. But based off of what the family and everyone had said, they had been together earlier that afternoon. They didn't have to communicate by phone or anything like that. She was already there.
Tell me a little bit about what the reaction is in your town to all of this.
Well, the town was devastated. The murder of a 10-year-old girl, as you might imagine, shook this town to its core. And very much to their credit, when that happened, they rallied. And the support for the local law enforcement doing the investigation, the support that we're seeing for the family and the purple that is all around town just has been overwhelming. And I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah. I mean, this child went over to her aunt's house, and then her father reported her missing at 9 o'clock at night when she did not return home. And you just expect that she's going to ride her bike back home again. It's a small town, Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. There were some, you all said that the community really helped to get to this stage in this investigation where there is a suspect in custody. There were reports of a person who posted something that he may have been the last one to see these two individuals before they went into that wooded area. Can you confirm that that person was giving information that was helpful?
I wish that would let me enlarge that. I was going to show you guys the map a little bit. Literally, she was only like, I want to say it was 2 or 3 blocks from her house, between her aunt's house and her house. And then there was this trail that ran in between the two.
I can't confirm any specific tips. I know that our tip line and other tips that came in, we had over 200, I believe, and tips from the public were of great help in this case and solving this case as quickly as we did.
And it went obviously and tragically, it went from a missing person situation where the town is all engaged and looking for this little 10-year-old girl to a homicide investigation. And for the people who were involved in this search, what was that like for them?
It was devastating. We were ready to start or to continue looking for this missing girl, hoping that she was going to show up to school the next day and we could call off the search. And then when we learned that wasn't going to happen, it hit us all very hard. We had law enforcement from all around the state, federal, state, local, county, everyone came together and worked really hard to get this case solved.
And the suspect, when he was...
Sorry, I have to keep pausing it. But I think that their response time, it was really quick. I know there was some complaints the very first, I would say, couple hours, but the way that they moved, the community, just all rallied behind this police force. People were searching absolutely everywhere. And that's what you want to see whenever you have a missing person. You want to see the police react in a serious way. You want to see the community come together the way that they did. And honestly, it was really moving to see the way that they all worked together to try to locate her. It's unfortunate that she was found deceased.
Was taken into custody. It sounds like he confirmed what his intent was in this case, correct?
Yeah, I believe the district attorney had spoken about that at the bond hearing.
And he confirmed that he had done this heinous crime.
I believe that's what he said.
Okay. Chief Combs, thank you. I know you wanted this case to end so differently, as everybody did, and our hearts go out to her family and all of you who have worked on this case. And we thank you for being here today, sir.
Okay, so then there's another article. He actually waived his preliminary hearing, the young man who murdered her. He waived his preliminary hearing, and they put out a little bit more of the details about his charges and stuff. I don't know if that's a video that goes with this. Okay, so it says the boy's attorney has submitted a letter to the court in Chippewa County saying that the teen waives his right to the hearing in which the judge determines if there is enough evidence for a trial. The boy was scheduled to appear remotely from the detention center Thursday afternoon. Again, this is back on September 1st. Let me see. Let's play this.
Is underway after a missing 10-year-old girl was found dead in Wisconsin. Ileana Lily Peters disappeared over the weekend. Her father contacted the Chippewa Falls Police Department when she did not come home after visiting her aunt's house. Officers found her bicycle in the woods near that house, and this morning her body was located in the woods.
As you can imagine, first responders are tremendously impacted by anything that impacts one of our children. So it is very difficult for them and the investigators.
Police say they are following up on several leads, and they are warning there may be a danger to the public.
Okay, so that was a very early news report that they just showed there. And the danger to the public was because they literally didn't know, could she have been abducted? You know, what could have possibly happened to her? They didn't know if there was some creep out there walking around. And it turned out that it was her cousin, unfortunately. So it says the boy identified in court documents only as CTPB is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, 2 counts of sexual assault. He was held in a juvenile detention center on a $1 million cash bond. Anyone who is at least 10 years old and accused of first or second-degree homicide is considered an adult in Wisconsin's court system. Ileana Peters, known as Lily, disappeared the night of April 24th. She was riding her bike home from her aunt's house in Chippewa Falls, according to the criminal complaint. Searchers found her body the next morning. The boy told investigators he was riding his hoverboard alongside Lily on a trail, and he intended to sexually assault and kill her, according to the complaint. He told investigators that after he persuaded her to leave the trail, he punched her, hit her with a heavy stick, strangled her until she died, and then sexually assaulted her body. And so very, very disturbing that a 14-year-old boy would have this desire to do this and this motivation behind him to even pursue or consider doing something so gruesome and so horrific to his own cousin, and for it to be planned. You know, this is first degree, and he flat out admitted to it. And so that's why a lot of people started digging into his past, digging into his family's past, and really trying to figure out, you know, what made this kid tick? What was making him want to go out and do something like this? You know, was he assaulted in his past? Was he born evil? Did something horrible happen to him? And so that's why you've seen on that news article that they were asking the police officer there about his dad's previous pedophile charges. You know, he had previous charges for child pornography, I believe it was, allegedly. I can't remember exactly what the charge was, but, and people wonder, you know, had he ever been harmed by his dad, perhaps? No excuse for what he did. There's never an excuse for how we act, you know, but it kind of would make you understand a little bit more about his thought process, I guess, and all of it. So, but that's the update for Lily Peters. You know, I'm hoping that her family is able to get some type of justice and closure. I can't even imagine being in a situation where it's a family member hurting another family member, especially children, because I'm sure that creates a rift that probably will never be repaired. So keep her family in prayers while they deal with that, and keep that community in prayers as well. So another case I wanted to go over, you guys, the Sanford family. I don't know how many of you guys remember the Sanford family, but it was the man and woman and the child that went missing. They had been missing for about 2 months. They were found and located safely. And so I wanted to share this as well, because everyone was super concerned, because he was like an ex-boyfriend, I believe, and she was in a relationship currently. And so everyone thought, maybe he had kidnapped her, maybe something horrible happened to them, but they were found safe. So let me play this.
Critics are raving.
Their child and boyfriend missing for more than 2 months have come forward saying that they are safe and sound.
But they have no plans to return home to Maine. News 8's Jim Keithley explains how 8 Investigates played a role in helping police bring a conclusion to this case.
It began with an email to 8 Investigates, Jill Sidebotham, saying she's far from missing. We turned that information over to the Sanford PD.
Detectives were able to track down Jill Sidebotham, Nick Hansen, and their 2-year-old daughter, who'd gone off on a camping trip at the end of June. On Wednesday, Nick Hansen called 8 Investigates Terry Stackhouse. A day later, he did a video conference with police, and they sent in local law enforcement from another state to confirm their well-being. The family requested they keep their location and reasons for leaving private. Nick Hansen communicating with us over the phone again today, telling us what they've been doing.
We've solely hopscotch across the country, and we'll go town to town to town, and we go to church regularly now, which is a new thing for both of us. Weekly we go to church, and 99.9% of the time I can find side work in a church.
Nick Hansen said that they have no plans to return.
So again, like the thought was, it was weird because she was in a relationship with someone else or was communicating with someone else, and then just up and decided to go on this camping trip. And so everyone thought that, he had forced her or something along those lines, but they're coming out and saying none of that happened. They just decided to go camping and then run away, basically. And so this frustrates me. I'm going to be completely honest. This case in particular frustrates me, because what happens with cases like this, where these people just decide to stop all communication and run off? It's frustrating, because how much time and resources and even awareness. I mean, look at the people who stopped to make them flyers. Look at the people who made videos on them, who were sharing their stories, sharing their faces. It takes away from cases that actually need attention. And it's extremely frustrating as like a missing persons advocate for people to fake their disappearance, basically. And so if you're going to run off, if you decide that you want to start your life over again and never speak to your family again, tell your family that. Don't just be a person who just up and disappears, because it's ridiculous. And then what it does is cases that actually have missing people, cases who actually have foul play, they get less attention because of stuff like this, because of these gone girl quote unquote situations. You look at like Naomi Irion, for example. They tried to say that Naomi just walked off and went off on her own accord, and she was kidnapped and murdered. Look at Dylan Rounds. Tried to say that he was off on his own, and look, he was likely murdered. And so it's extremely frustrating whenever they're not telling their family, or at least notify law enforcement. You've been missing for 2 months. There is no way, I'm sorry, there is no way that you didn't notice for 2 months that you were being listed on every news report, that there was flyers being posted for you, that you didn't see the news, you didn't check social media for 2 months to see. It's extremely frustrating. Yeah, this makes it seem so that she left her other child and ran off to create a life with this guy and their biological child together. Right. That's exactly what happened. They ran off together and left her other child and the rest of her family behind. And her family is still baffled. They don't understand. I agree that they should be held accountable for the wasted resources.
To Maine, saying they left a toxic situation.
There was no toxic anything here. I mean, we were the house all the kids wanted to come to and hang out with our kids.
Jill Sidebotham's father, where she lived in Sanford, said he's still baffled by all of this. He can't understand why his daughter has cut off all contact with family and her 10-year-old son, who's in the custody of the boy's father in Sanford.
I have so many more questions now.
Sanford police say we may never get the full story here. It's hard to tell, they said, who in the mix is being 100% honest. But in their eyes, the case is closed. In Sanford, Jim Keithley, WMTW News 8.
Like, that's the other thing. Like, how do you just walk away from your 10-year-old? You just up and leave? Like, you just don't care? You just don't care that your 10-year-old just got abandoned? No, cray cray. She talked to the police. They did a video conference and then the police went to the location. She said she just wants to be left alone. So, I mean, it can sound like it's not voluntary, but it's a situation where she sat alone with officers and talked to them and told them that she did leave on her own and she does not want to go back. She doesn't want the law enforcement and the officers telling her family why they decided to leave. They want all of that information left private, but it just, I don't know, the whole situation's just weird. But it's weird, but it's frustrating because, we can't, I don't know. It's just so frustrating because you look at cases, Dylan Rounds, Elisa Wood is another one. Everybody thought that Elisa Wood just walked off on her own. Her boyfriend was playing that up that, she left town and she was never coming back and all of this stuff. Right. And then guess what? He actually murdered her. He's arrested for her murder now. And so, that happens every day where people are murdered and police are just trying to write them off as runaways or just trying to write them off as people who just decided to leave their lives and start over. And every time I hear that, I think to myself, who does that? Like, who literally just picks up and goes and just leaves everything behind and walks away from an entire life? Like, that doesn't happen. And then here we are. Here is this case where, they literally did that. They literally just got up and walked away. Yeah, he does, BC. He lives with his dad. Yeah, it makes everything harder to get coverage. I mean, look at Echo, for example. That's a case that we just talked about recently. Police are trying to tell her daughter Kelsey that she probably just started a new life. Like, I don't think about I don't know. It's just frustrating because they aren't even really investigating her case thoroughly because they are convinced that she just left. Yeah, 90% of missing cases are not actual missing persons. It's frustrating though. It's frustrating. We talked about that during the internet safety thing, the trend for teens to stop all contact and basically fake their disappearance, for them to stop talking to their parents and stop talking to their friends, stop all contact for 48 hours. And whoever can get the most social media post about the fact that they're missing gets more points over that 48-hour period. And it disgusts me that people even do stuff like that because there is actual missing people that actually need help out there. And it's just, I don't know. It's gross. Yeah, Echo didn't walk away. If they investigated everyone, nobody would be found because of the backlog of cases or reports. It's sad, though. It's really sad. Yeah, without medication, car, money, etc. No way. Right. Away from her grandkids. Yeah, I'm glad that they're alive. I am too. Ramblin' Rome. I am too. I'm glad that they are okay. I'm glad that they are safe, but it's just frustrating that this situation happened. Oh yeah. We talked about that the other day. It's one of the new internet challenges, or whenever it's from, I don't even know, but it's one of the internet challenges that we looked at on Wednesday on Savage's channel. How do you determine which to investigate? That's the real question. I don't know. Because I'm going to tell you, Philly, PA, they have a huge issue with runaway teens. And you get to the point where they start missing for, a week, 2 weeks, some of them 2, 3 years. How do you know that they weren't trafficked? How do you know something horrible didn't happen to them? There was a girl that we covered a while ago, and I'm not going to say her name, but the police basically wrote her off as a runaway because she had run away previously. And you guys will probably remember, she's the one who was kidnapped from the Mavericks basketball game. And police refused to take her case seriously because she ran away previously. And guess what? An online internet investigative resource found her on a human trafficking website and located her in a hotel tied to a bed being abused. There was like 10 people arrested in her case for what happened to her. I mean, trafficking of our teens is a real situation. And so how do you know which ones are playing this 48-hour game, or which adults just up and walked away versus which ones are real? I don't know. I do not envy law enforcement one bit. As great as internet and technology is, it's the most dangerous thing. Yeah. Yeah, they found her in a hotel room. And the police didn't take it seriously at all. Yeah, teen runaways should be searched for. They're not adults. They make bad decisions. I agree. But at the same time, what happens to the ones who are runaways, or playing this sick game? Like, let's say it's a 48-hour situation where they're hiding at a friend's house, bunkered down. You know, let's say we're in a situation like that. Do we start holding these teens accountable for faking their disappearance? Would that help cut down on runaways, or would it make it worse and make them run from authorities that much more and be afraid to come home once they're gone because of fear of getting in trouble because they just made this bad decision? Should it be like a one-time, like, okay, slap on the wrist, don't do that again, because if you do that again, this is what's going to happen, maybe. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But Rocky, police did not take her case seriously. They did not take her case seriously until her brother went to the Walmart and got that evidence of foul play. Up until he went to the Walmart and investigated himself and got that video footage of her being abducted, police didn't lift a finger to help him. So there was evidence of foul play, absolutely. But for the first 2 days, basically, police did absolutely nothing to help her family. And that's why the trust the family thing started. He's your best friend. Yeah. I mean, and so they did nothing for him in the beginning. And they messed her case up so many times while they were handling it, in my opinion. I don't know. There needs to be a different answer for all of this. Right? We can't rely on law enforcement to be there for 600,000 cases a year, right? So what can we do to help them? Because they can't do 600,000 cases a year plus, all of the regular crimes. Parents having the awareness of it and talking to them would help. I'm sure most parents don't even know about it. Absolutely, BC. People are very, very hands off in how they raise their kids anymore. And it's sad. Speaking of sad, I don't know how many of you guys were on last night whenever I read the update about Lucian, but I am going to read it again. It's extremely devastating because it's only been 2 days for this little boy missing, going on 3 tonight. And the police have basically called off the search already. Like they have pulled back their resources, quote unquote. You see cases like Kaylee Rodney having nonstop man hours and nonstop coverage and nonstop searches, thousands and thousands of hours, thousands of people looking for her. People like Gabby Petito, hundreds and thousands of people looking for her. And then Lucian gets 2 days of searches. That's it. 2-3 days, 2.5. So let me show you guys the update that they put out last night. And police stopped searching around 6 p.m. yesterday. And now they left his family to their own devices, basically. So let me read this to you. Says, good evening. As most of the community is aware, the Yakima County Search and Rescue, supported by the Yakima Police Department, has been searching for 4-year-old Lucian since Saturday evening at about 7:30 p.m. During that search, trained search crews and multiple agencies, including Pierce, King, Spokane, Kitas, Klickitat counties, Moses Lake, and Glebe Fire, U.S. Air Force, and more. Some of the resources that are being implemented in the search include over 15 search dogs, ATVs, boats, kayaks, drones, underwater drones, Columbia Basin dive teams, a statewide alert helicopter, and over 150 searchers have all assisted. The searchers have been in the water, on the river, through the brush and trails, the park, nearby roads and businesses, and everything between. The search was extremely thorough, tracked by GPS, and conducted again to be sure Lucian wasn't missed. Additionally, detectives have scoured nearby homes and businesses for video, conducted consensual searches of encampments, interviewed witnesses, and followed up on leads. The work has given no indication of foul play. All of this effort leads us to the next phase of this operation. To date, we have discouraged the public from self-deploying, as that would have interfered with our coordinated effort. We are now asking the public to continue to search and notify police immediately if they find Lucian or a clue to his location. The detectives have been able to establish that Lucian left the playground alone, headed south and east. Unfortunately, there is a fast-flowing river, a pond, and a deep lake in that direction. Underwater drones and divers have checked both bodies of water with negative results. After consulting with Sheriff Udell, we have also agreed to begin scaling back the assets from around the state and search and rescue teams. This is consistent with protocol for searching in an urban area. We continue to assign personnel to this effort and sincerely pray for a positive outcome. We ask you that you continue to keep Lucian's family in your thoughts in this unimaginably painful situation. He used to live there. Yeah, I'll show a picture of him too. You're starting to think that we need a tracking device. I don't like them, as that technology can get in the wrong hands, right? Yeah. Pray. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, officer. Keep them in your thoughts, because we're not. I was so frustrated and heartbroken reading this last night. And so his family, of course, was in the Facebook group last night, like, please help us. Please, somebody, like, everybody, come help us walk. They are still walking through this area. They are still going up and down the riverbanks. They are still looking for him. They have family and stuff out there in kayaks as much as they possibly can. The water level is low, so they can't really deploy boats into the river. And so it's absolutely devastating that the police are just like, well, he left on his own, so there's no foul play, but there's a river there, so he probably went in it. I mean, what if he was abducted? What if he is literally still hiding somewhere and nobody finds him? I don't know. The whole situation was so upsetting to me last night, because it's just like, I don't understand. I don't understand how you just walk away from a 2-year, or from a young child. He's 4, I think. How do you just walk away from a 4-year-old and be like, sorry, but he's gone. And so then you think about cases. This happens all the time. This happens all the time where these kids don't get searched for. You look at Arden Pepion. She's been missing over a year, and she's just in the water, just gone. Dylan Eller is another one. They just stop looking. And then you have other cases where they utilize thousands and thousands of hours of resources. It just doesn't make sense. And I know that the community is different from place to place, and the resources are different from place to place. Do we need to have like a federally funded, mandated search and rescue program? I mean, why can't that be a thing? We send money to go investigate cows and how their gas, how much they're farting affects our ozone layer. We need to start investing in search and rescue. We need to start investing and making sure that the standard is set across this country, so that the searches are the same from place to place. Why does one family get thousands and thousands of hours and helpers and searches, and because this family is in a poorer community, they get 150 people for 2 days, and they were only searching from 7 a.m. until 6 or 7 p.m., like 12 hours a day searches? I can't wrap my head around this. And so it upsets me. Right. Yeah. We send billions overseas. We can afford to do that. But if they had to implement a search and rescue program federally, they'd be like, oh, well, we have to raise your taxes. It is. Yeah. Yeah. Great. I don't understand. I don't understand. I will never understand why our missing people are not a priority in this country. Why does these locals have to be out there on their own? This family out there on their own. And everybody wants to say, the parents should have been watching him, and the parents should have done this, and the parents should have done that, and his dad should have whatever, shoulda, coulda, woulda. You don't think he's saying the same thing to himself right now? This family loves their little boy. He didn't purposely lose him. He was changing a diaper, looked down to change the diaper, looked back up, and he was gone. People seen him running down the trail, did not stop him, just thought I don't know what they thought. I don't know what this witness thought that they didn't stop them. But, you know, people are too afraid to impose and interact with other people's kids because you might get accused of something or whatever. And so nobody says anything anymore. Nobody speaks up. Nobody helps watch out for other people's kids. Nobody helps, like, communities don't help parent. You know, we're not a village raising a child anymore. We are individual little families, and if something happens to somebody else's kids, you know, oh, sorry, that's awful. Sorry about your luck. Sorry your kid just ran out on that road and I just watched him. I don't know. Yeah, if it was one of their children, they would still be looking. Yes, that's why politics are so important to pay attention to. They issued a statewide alert, which is the highest kind of alert, right? That is, besides Amber Alert, a statewide alert. You know, it puts everything out there. Let me get his picture up to look for him. But it doesn't go to individuals. It just goes to the police officers, from my understanding. Sorry, let me find a picture of him. I guess, Seal. I guess. They must be just thinking he'll wash up on shore eventually. But how horrific is that? I get it. The river is fast moving and stuff, but really? I don't know. Go a couple miles downriver and start your search there if that's what you think it happened. You know, to just tell these parents, like, sorry, I guess he's gone. We have to scale back, though. It's been 2 days. Like, what? I just can't. I just don't understand it. Yeah, we are no longer a see something, say something. That's why we keep having school shootings. Not my problem. Sadly, it is. It's everyone's problems. It's the problem with everything, honestly. You know, people are too worried about invading other people's privacy. Like, ooh, I don't want to touch on that. I don't want to step in because, you know, it's not my place. It's not my place to say something. Oh, wow, that dad looks distracted and his 4-year-old is walking down this pathway. Oh, he'll see him. It's not my place. It's not my place to stop him or say anything. You know, maybe the dad told him he could go down there. Like, I'm sorry, but if I see a young child walking around by themselves, um, we're going to hold your hand and we're going to walk you back to your parent to make sure that it's okay. The same thing happened in Michael Monkey Vaughn. I'm sorry, but he knocked on how many doors? He knocked on how many doors to ask to go play and nobody stopped him? Nobody? Nobody thought, hey, red flag, this young child is walking around by himself. I should probably stop him or do something. And now they think he was abducted. And his picture is getting put on trailers everywhere, you know, on the side of 18-wheelers. And his family has gone through a year of attacks, or however long it's been, almost a year. I mean, this happens all the time, but people are too afraid to impose or, you know, cross the line. You know, we don't want to step on people's toes. We have to be politically correct. These cases make me want to air tag my daughter. They do make stuff. Yeah, they should have walked him back to his door. There's a larger issue at hand. Why are children not a priority to our local and federal governments? There has to be a link somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, ask the baby, where's your mom and dad? Something. Yes, burden. They are leaving it for the public to possibly find him floating down the river deceased. This isn't a new issue, right? Kids wandering from their parents, stuff like this happening is not a new issue. We covered, even Jamie Bolger's case. He was like lured off by these teens. These teens walked him miles before they killed him. And they encountered multiple people, but nobody stopped them. People thought like something was a little bit off and something happened, they thought something was wrong, but nobody interfered. That happened back like years ago. Yeah, you got security and was disgusted with how security they seemed so unconcerned. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's like I've been so just triggered the last 2 days. I'm sure some of you who probably came to the Sleuth Mom 1 year probably heard it in my voice last night too, because it's been a very frustrating week for me. And it's only, what day is today? Tuesday? It's only Tuesday. And I'm already just done with some of these cases and some of the stuff that I'm seeing go on because it's just so frustrating. If you've ever been on a real SAR search and you've exhausted your immediate AO, you would know how hard it is to broaden that search area. As the further away you get, the bigger the area. Yeah. But if they know the direction that the river is flowing and they think that he is in the river, you would think that they should be able to go that way. Put a play area right near the entrance. How dumb. Ugh. You're in Walmart and this adorable 4-year-old girl was playing on shelves. No adults anywhere. I stopped and asked where's her mama. Her mom poked her head around the aisle mad at me. I was like, look, people steal babies. I was worried. Listen, I used to work. Okay, I was the overnight manager at Walmart for 5 years, I want to say. It was several years. I don't remember how long. Anyway, so I was the overnight manager at Walmart, and I came out of the back room one night. It was like probably 1 a.m. And there's just this 2-year-old, like 1 to 2-year-old baby sitting in a shopping cart outside of the bathroom, just sitting there all by itself. I'm like looking around, like, where is your people? Little child. Like, and I'm just looking, and my mind's like thinking, we get a lot of shifty characters on the overnight at Walmart. All kinds of crazy people. So I'm thinking like this kid could be kidnapped. And not only that, but this kid wasn't strapped into their cart. They weren't, secured in any way, shape, or form. So I'm thinking it takes 2 seconds for this baby to fall out and land on their head, right? So then you have a completely innocent child harmed or whatever, and there's no mommy. I stood there for 7 minutes with this child. 7 minutes before the mom came out of the bathroom. And she was so mad that I was standing there. I told her, I was like, ma'am, you cannot leave your child alone in this store. And she's like, oh, he was fine. He was fine. I was just going to the restroom real quick. I was floored. I was so angry. We got her license plate number and stuff before she left and turned it all in. I was just so frustrated. Because how do you do that? How do you just leave your child unattended? And that was back before I followed true crime. That was back before I had this heightened sense of awareness for babies. I feel like everybody who follows true crime, we obviously we see the danger everywhere, right? You can't help but see it whenever you follow cases like this. I just can't picture a world where I just leave my kid completely unattended while I go into the bathroom for 7 minutes. And who knows how long she was in there before. Yeah, I was concerned that she could have been doing drugs or something along those lines. Yeah, was she high? That was a long time. She didn't seem high, But on overnight, everybody is a little bit off. So I just assumed, I don't know. But she left the store not too long after that because she was frustrated. I'm pretty sure security followed her the rest of the time she was in there too. But okay, who else did I have on my title? Did I hit? Oh, Kaylee Jones, you guys. Kaylee Jones is still missing as well. Let me pull her up. Yeah, you don't allow your 14-year-old in a public bathroom. Yeah, you would never leave your kids like that. Who does that? Who does that? Okay. Let me pull up Kaylee's page. So there are yes, vigil on Sunday. That's what I was going to pull up. You had said that during my live yesterday night, and I totally, I read it, but I didn't. Do you know what I mean? So I went on the Facebook group right after to look for it. And there is a vigil on Sunday that they're going to just be raising awareness, praying for her. I'm going to try to stream it. It's Sunday at 8 at the Mount Pleasant Baptist Church. And so, let me see. It says, bring your own candle. It's 694 Mount Pleasant Church Road, Carrollton, Georgia. Let me see. We will be having a candlelight vigil for Kaylee Jones in the field at Mount Pleasant Baptist Church. Bring your own candle and come out and help us lift Kaylee's name up in prayer and help bring her home. So there is information on the Facebook group about this. If you guys want to be a speaker or join in on that, please feel free to do so. Yeah, I can live stream it. I mean, I can't be there to video it, but I can stream it on my channel. Yeah, that's the baby. That's Junior. Junior, actually. Junior's at the thing. She's coloring. I put a giant whiteboard on the wall right next to me so that they can stand there and color. If I'm ever in here. You still think that she's being held against her will, Susie Mack? I mean, the police went out there and talked to her. They sent the police, and she's still saying that she is fine. So I don't know. And apparently they're attending church and everything else. So if she's going in the public eye, is that possible? That she's still being held against her will? I don't know. The whole situation just frustrates me, though, because of the fact that they are just gone and then it wasn't real, basically. Just some different videos of Kaylee. Yeah, I can't video. I'm sorry. I'm not close enough to that. Hi, Tiny Tumbleweed. It's out of character, so that makes you have worries for her. So she was also on Crime Stories with Nancy Grace recently. Let me see. Zoom this out a little bit. Okay, so it says cops are asking for the public's help in finding 2 missing teens. Kaylee Jones has been missing from her Georgia home for more than 2 months. Daniel and Brenda fear their daughter has been sex trafficked. The 16-year-old, who is autistic, disappeared after the parents took away her phone. It had been discovered that the girl had been chatting with several men online. We also found out that she was on sites like Omegle and other things. I'm not sharing the right thing, am I? Yeah, she's She did 3 stories on her. I don't, Jingles. I'm sorry. I can ask Missing Justice. I believe that's the advocates that are working with them. In a separate case out of Alabama, 17-year-old Trasha Benjamin disappeared after going to a flea market. Benjamin left that Saturday morning with a friend. Then Benjamin borrowed a friend's car and was found a mile from the flea market with the driver's side windows smashed. She's been missing since 2010. Wow, I've never even heard of that one. So let's listen to this. So this is Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. Let me give you guys her link here. And obviously, fair use, we're going to discuss. I'm going to have to pause a couple times while this is playing, I'm sure.
When T-Mobile says we've got you covered, we mean it. We've invested billions to light up our best network yet.
Coverage not available in some. Offering over 250 engaging bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree throughout its online campus. Find your purpose at Grant.
We could get a new one.
Yeah, reality with a home.
With Nancy Grace.
She has been sex trafficked. Add on to that, trolls, harassment from the public, harassing the girl's parents. This is so backwards. I don't even know what to make of it. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Fox Nation and Sirius XM 111. I'm talking about a beautiful young girl, her family pleading for help, her family convinced against all hopes, anything they had ever imagined, that their child has been sex trafficked. Take a listen to our cut 5 from our friends at CBS.
Without her phone on her, it's making it more difficult to track her down.
You never think it's going to happen to you. I tried to, run this and enforce this and reinforce this with in her mind that she cannot trust whoever she sees.
It's a message for parents out there. Keep an eye on your children's use of social media so that they don't become the next target.
They prey upon these kids, and it's sickening.
The Carroll County Sheriff's Office says they are reviewing Jones's social media records and followed up with the last persons she had contact with. They are still actively searching for Jones and hasn't ruled out possibilities on what may have happened leading up to her disappearance. As you just heard, the family is so desperate for your help. If you know anything, contact the Carroll County Sheriff's Office as soon as possible.
Not only is this teen girl missing, we think lured out of her home, she is autistic. She probably has no idea how this has happened to her. Take a listen to our cut 4, our friends at Channel 46 CBS.
My daughter is Kaylee Jones. She's 16 years old.
Kaylee Jones.
So I was here at work, and my wife called me about 7:15, and she said Kaylee was gone.
Her parents haven't seen her for about a week, and it's hard for Daniel and Brenda Jones to go to sleep at night wondering where their daughter might be.
And it's just gut-wrenching knowing she's out there somewhere and we don't know where she's at. All of the worst thoughts come to our minds. She's our daughter, and we desperately want her back. She is a big, huge part of us.
Kaylee is autistic, and because of that, her parents are afraid their daughter was more vulnerable to any online predators.
My wife found that she was talking to us like 4 or 5 different guys via Snapchat.
They took her phone away on Monday, and by Wednesday morning, Jones was gone.
This teen girl, also autistic, missing, and now the parents are enduring even more upheaval, more drama, more trauma. Take a listen to our friends at crimeonline.com.
Kaylee.
So as you guys know, Kaylee's parents, Brenda and Danny, they had interviewed with Positively Parker and myself, 2 different interviews. And we also had her brother Hunter on. A lot of that was taken, and people started analyzing every breath they took, every statement that they made, absolutely everything that they said, did, whatever. And they started getting attacked, by certain groups on Twitter and on Facebook. And it was just absolutely devastating because police are looking at this as if she was lured. They have the digital data about who she was talking to before she left and all of that stuff. I'm sorry, my daughter is talking to the dog. But so, they have all of that, and police have the devices. They know that she was talking to people. It's just about narrowing down who she was last with, right? Who she last spoke with. Because of the Omegle, it makes it very difficult to basically determine that. That's why Omegle exists, is to hide your location and have privacy and all of that. Hunter's going to be at the vigil. That's great, Jingles. So, it's just sad. It's just sad whenever families are reaching out for help and then they get attacked, basically.
Jones has been missing more than a month, and while tips have been coming into the police, that's not all. Brenda and Daniel Jones say they are facing online harassment. They say internet sleuths initially trying to pin down details to help find the girl are now directing anger and accusations at the parents over how they're handling the investigation. Some are even threatening to come on the Jones property to search without permission.
Joining me right now, an all-star panel to make sense of what is happening to Kaylee's family right now. But I want to go to special guest joining me. This is Kaylee's father, Daniel Jones, speaking to us. And you can find him on Facebook. Where is Kaylee Jones? Daniel, it's kind of hard for me to take in. You're the one that contacted us. We found you by your desperate pleas on Twitter, on Facebook, on Insta. That's how we found you. Isn't that how we found them, Jackie? Yes. You're doing everything possible to find your daughter. Tell me what these so-called trolls are doing.
I mean, it begins off with just they try to come out and say like they're gonna, try to offering up help, but they started wanting information and this and that and answers to this and asking kind of questions that, number one, we don't know you guys, we don't know who you are, we've never met you before, and you're trying to get these messages and get this information. So it's like, wait a minute, as a parent, number one, and then dealing in the situation. Look, I don't need my daughter's information out there other than what the sheriff's office already did.
What kind of information are they asking for, Daniel?
Well, one of the people that contacted me wanted her date of birth, which might not be that bad, but why do you need her date of birth? Like I said, we have no idea who these people are, and then they're wanting to know specifics. And then one lady was trying to help, but she's forcibly, and they want to put up billboards and do this and do that, which like I said, it sounds kind of ignorant, saying it's aggressive, but it's not the actual what they were trying to help with. It's the 100% of the way they went about it. And then the one group, they're called the Nerd Bird Mafia.
Who is the Nerd Bird Mafia? What is that, Daniel Jones?
I honestly don't know, other than they're a group of sleuths, I guess, and they're online, investigators, I guess they're calling themselves, and they do this and they do that, and they try to help people is what they're trying to say. But the more we've got into this, when we right at the time and before the time they first started contacting us, we were warned, be careful of these certain people, they're going to pose as help, but they're not going to help. And then there's been, I don't know how many people directly after the fact that have got in contact with my wife, with Brenda, the mom, and told her that these people did the same thing to her, but we weren't giving them information. We just stopped talking to them. So then they got more aggressive with us, but these people actually were giving them information and they were supposedly helping them, and they just ran them through the ringers the same way.
Okay.
And so sadly, who he's referring to, it's actually another missing story that we had covered. It was a sibling looking for her brother who was missing and was completely ran through the mud. The whole family was. Nerdbird Mafia Nerdy actually put up a blog post or whatever it is on his behind his paywall, basically, putting out this family's personal information, data that they had gotten off of a laptop, and different things like that, just completely trashing that family after they had posed as help for them for so long. And it was devastating. It was devastating to see somebody who typically, is meant to do good, right? That's what online sleuths, internet sleuths, awareness people, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be helping in the true crime world. And it just seems like somewhere along the line, some of these cases just go haywire, and all of the help that we're supposed to be providing gets twisted, and then people start getting accused of things, accusations and speculation takes over, and these families, they get attacked, they get destroyed by all of the opinions that are out there. And it shouldn't be like that.
What, if anything, are they threatening?
Well, I mean, they just, the main thing is now that they make accusations and try to turn everything, that maybe I've done something with her. They made accusations that I deleted her, some of her social media off her computer before the police came and took the computer. Then now they want to come search the property, whether I like it or not.
Okay, wait. That's a lot. That's a lot right there. I want to go through each thing that you're saying, but Cheryl McCollum joining me, founder and director of the Cold Case Research Institute, forensic expert. Cheryl, thank you for being with us. What do you make of what Daniel Jones is telling us right now, Cheryl? That's not helping anything.
Not at all. And you want to maintain the integrity of an investigation, Nancy, and you certainly do not want to ever compromise or interfere with an investigation. Number one, you can be charged with a crime if you do that. And you've got the Secret Service and the U.S. Marshal and the FBI and the GBI and Carroll County SO. There's a lot of people out there trying to find her and, bring her home safely. And I don't know why this group, number one, doesn't direct their efforts to these folks. Say, hey, Carroll County, we can help volunteer for a search if Carroll County puts one together. But you don't just maverick and boondog and go on your own and do it.
One of the things that they actually did too, which was off-putting, kind of disturbing if you ask me, they actually made a separate tip line, from police, call us if you don't want to call police, an anonymous tip line that they had put out there. And to take tips away from the police just makes no sense to me in an investigation. It's not okay. There is never a time that an online sleuth or someone from YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, I don't care what your platform is, should be taking tips in cases that should be going to law enforcement. It's not okay, ever.
Carson joining me, high-profile lawyer and former Fed with the FBI. He's joining us out of Jacksonville. Dale Carson, I mean, it's not just offering to help. According to Daniel Jones, this is Kaylee's dad. People are going online and they are trolling and trashing Kaylee's parents, accusing them of wrongdoing, threatening to tramp onto their property and search.
This is some bearded guy in a basement somewhere who's a wannabe. And as Cheryl will tell you, there are plenty of wannabes out there. They want to get involved. They want to have a presence. And social media has largely allowed that. And it's caused more problems, really, than it's solved.
Well, the thing is, I encourage volunteers to help. Dr. Sherry Schwartz joining us, forensic psychologist. You can find her at panthermitigation.com and author of Criminal Behavior. When does it cross the line from helping to intimidating and trolling? And what do you make of these people that go online and they're kind of anonymous You don't really know who they are, basically threatening Kaylee's parents. I mean, haven't they already lived through enough?
Exactly. And this is the first clue, because a group that is well-meaning and really wants to get out there and help raise awareness isn't going to obscure their identity. They certainly aren't going to lend themselves to creating chaos. And really, this is sadistic behavior. It appears to be, from everything I've seen online from this group, that they don't just troll Kaylee's family. They do this with other missing individuals as well. And that it really is all about creating chaos and harming the people, the families, tearing these families apart.
When T-Mobile says
Students from around the country.
It was sad because they actually went to the point, I believe Hunter actually I want to say he filed a restraining order. I know he had to call police at one point because they were going to his place of business, stalking him outside of his apartment, different things like that. And it's disturbing that it got to that level.
edu/.
About greed, power. Invest a family is a bloody business.
That's how I found them, Cheryl. They're begging for help online. That does not sound like a parent that is involved in the disappearance of their child. They usually shrink away from the spotlight and don't answer questions.
That's right. And they've been open and honest about telling the good and the bad about what was happening. But there's two other things I want to point out. When this group posts online things like, here's the number for the PIO at the sheriff's department, y'all know what to do, nerds. Or they say they're coming onto private property to search. Let's just say, devil's advocate, they find a body during an illegal search. They don't forensically know how to handle it, and it's already done. You've already screwed this whole case up by doing what you did illegally. So again, they need to stand down and let the professionals do their job.
Well, wait a minute, Cheryl. How many times have you and I said publicly, what is wrong with the police? And that's who we welcome volunteers. I mean, think about Gabby Petito. If that citizen, wasn't it red, blue, and methane, something like that saw her van, alerted authorities, and within hours, they found Gabby's remains. If it had not been for citizen involvement, we would never have known what happened. We wouldn't even know if Gabby was dead or alive.
Nancy, as you well know, the Cold Case Institute, we are based on volunteers. I am all about volunteers, but one, you got to be legitimate. You got to be doing things legally. And you don't go somewhere where you're not wanted and you don't harass somebody and say, hey, we're coming anyway.
Well, I don't know about not going where you're not wanted, because I don't think I've ever busted up in a crime scene where I was wanted. Okay, that has never stopped me. But Cheryl McCollum, accusing and harassing the parents.
But if a victim's family is saying, please don't do this.
But Daniel Jones, what are they accusing you and Brenda of? I mean, she's the one that wakes up first thing in the morning and calls you and says, she's gone. You leave work. You don't even, then you call your boss, I got to go. You go home immediately. You'll call police. You do everything. It's textbook. Yes. Everything you did. So what are they accusing you of specifically?
There's a lot. And honestly, my mind is flooded and I'm just in the middle of this and distraught, number one. So it's like, I don't have a total focus of everything and I can't remember every little thing.
I'll take anything.
Mainly, like I said, it's where they're coming to ask for help or, offering help, but then we kind of don't, give them the help. Then they say, well, Danny asked for a search, and we want to come search, but he doesn't want to search. Well, wait a second. That was something that I said I wish the police had done the first day. They didn't. We have since had the property searched. They didn't find anything. They didn't find any recent scent trails of my daughter on the property. So we're good with there.
So are they accusing you and your wife of any wrongdoing?
Somewhere in there, I deleted the computer or my daughter's, I deleted evidence or something. And I'm like, okay. but I don't even know why I would have deleted whatever I deleted. Maybe.
So are you saying you did not delete anything?
No, I didn't delete anything on the computer. I was doing everything I could to try to find it.
I'm embarrassed to even ask you that, but I had to. Nicole Parton joining me, crimeonline.com investigative reporter. How has it?
One thing is that if something would have been deleted on the computer, guess what? Police have the resources to recover that data. So it's not like they're hiding anything. Brenda and Danny have been very open and forthcoming since the beginning of all of this with people who actually tried to help. I've had conversations with them. Positively, Parker has had multiple conversations with them, and there's never been any animosity or difficulty getting any type of answers from them. But I've never approached them in an accusatory or unpleasant manner. You have somebody sitting there demanding that you give your child's social security number to them, or, that they demand that they want to know the X, Y, and Z about a case. Like, I'm sorry, but how do they know that you weren't the online predator that their daughter was talking to? They don't know that. And so they're not just going to open up and give information to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that contacts them. I'm sorry, they're just not. It's just awful. Yeah, they accuse the family of not cooperating. The family is not obligated to cooperate with anyone. They have absolutely been cooperative and welcome into law enforcement, as well as many others. Exactly. I've never seen them hesitate to give missing justice any information that they have asked for, ever.
This whole thing gotten so out of hand. Instead of trying to find Kaylee, they're going after the parents.
Right, Nancy. And we're seeing this more and more due to social media. We have these wannabes, as was said earlier, who want to get to the bottom. And maybe some of them are very innocent in wanting to help, but then they cross the line of starting these accusations and taking the focus off of what really matters, and that's finding Kaylee, and begin focusing on and putting all the efforts and energies into the parents. And all of this crazy things I read online, like, oh, the parents must be guilty of something. They don't have a lot of signs in their yard. Oh, the parents must be guilty of something. I saw them smile.
To you, Daniel Jones joining me. This is Kaylee's father here again, begging for help, trying to find his daughter. And, Daniel, I've told you the 3-minute episode when John David snuck away from him when he was a little boy.
Yes, exactly, Shauna. Whether you personally are the one who is asking for this information or messaging the family members or whatever isn't what we're saying. They personally may not have ever messaged Brenda or Danny. They personally may not have ever stood outside of Hunter's work or videotaped workers at Kaylee's Dollar General without telling them, videoed them. Different things like that happened in this case. Whenever we put out our speculations and we say, well, I think it's my opinion, I have respect and I have integrity, and, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to say, well, guys, if I really think that it's possible that this, and this happened, and because people have followed me on many cases and respect my opinion, they believe what I'm saying, or they think, well, yeah, it's definitely possible. And so then you incite these people who may not have the restraint from contacting people to go and look into these cases and contact people repetitively or whatever. It's just ridiculous. Hunter was literally getting phone calls and text messages multiple times a day from a YouTuber who was convinced that he was being abused. And it's not true. None of it's true. None of it.
Baby Superstore. I mean, those 3 minutes were just 3 of the worst minutes of my life. I mean, I was screaming, locked the doors. I had Lucy under my arm like a football, running through the store And I just can only imagine what has been going through your mind, hoping your daughter is still alive, for Pete's sake. And then to have somebody attack you because they saw your wife smile somewhere. I mean, how does that make you feel? Because I feel like dirt even thinking about it.
Well, I mean, she already just said that right there. I mean, that's part of the accusations and stuff that they're making, is that we laughed during one of the interviews. Laughing on an interview. Well, she just said it. I was kind of nervous. You don't really know how to act. And it's like something was said and it kind of, resonates truth. So you do that. But, they're putting out like it's not a big deal. And it is. We didn't go out passing out flyers and no sign on the front yard. But we did pass out flyers, and we had multiple people pass out flyers the very first Saturday after she disappeared.
Daniel, you've been working like a dog to try to find your daughter. You do not have to defend yourself to me. And believe me, I've gone after plenty of parents that I thought were involved in the disappearance and death of their children, and I have paid dearly for it. But from what I can tell, there is no need for you to have to defend yourself to me. Back to you, Nicole Parton, joining me, crimeonline.com. So there are internet trolls flooding online, accusing and harassing Kaylee's parents while they're still trying to find their daughter. By the way, the reward is up to $5,000. The Sheriff's Office number 770-830-5942. Repeat, 770-830-5942. Nicole, explain to me. I cut you off and when you were talking about someone attacking the family because they saw them smile, because it triggered a really bad memory. What else is happening? I understand there are internet trolls. There are people threatening to stampede their property. What else is going on?
Right, absolutely. There are even people who found this family online, and they're going to the parents' place of employment.
What did you say about a drone?
It's been reported that some of these online trolls have even flown drones over the family property, flying drones over the house.
Daniel Jones, is this true?
Yes, ma'am. The guy, Pat, whoever it was, drove by our house and made a nice video of it, and then had aerial shots from his drone that he flew directly over our house and everything. He went to the horse farm where I work and flew his drone around there and videoed himself whistling at horses on the property and everything. But it's like, these guys don't even care. This same group actually made their own tip line right before the sheriff's office put their tip line up or whatever. And it's like, why would you do something like that? Because they want to get the tips and they want to have control over it. And that's the same thing with the search. They said earlier, I don't want you out here planting evidence, for whatever reason. How do I know you're not against me?
So sending a drone over your property, going to your place of work, what did they do when they got there?
Well, they pulled up on the side of the road, which actually it's all private property down in there. And they just took a short little video and posted on Twitter that, whistling at the horses. Look, not pertinent to the case, but just had to share. And he's whistling at the horses that they were responding to him. And he flew a drone around the one house that's right there and, over those horses and several other horses and kind of like aggravating the horses.
It's a lot. And the last thing you need right now is to lose your job. Daniel, do you believe Kaylee is still alive?
In my heart of hearts, yes. I've prayed more than once. My wife and I have prayed, and I've prayed with people, and there's people praying like crazy. The Lord is going to protect her no matter what. But I still have a feeling that she is alive. That hasn't kind of hit me as nothing yet. I just think that she's out there somewhere, whether she's been trafficked or moved on. Maybe somebody thought they were helping her. My daughter's out there somewhere alive, and somebody's either helping her, and keeping her alive or whatever. Which I thank you, but you guys just need to let her go. We need to get her home.
If you have any information, please call 770-830-5942.
When when T-Mobile says we...
So again, credit Nancy Grace for that update. I dropped her link a couple times there. I really appreciate the fact that she came out and she spoke with this family and has been raising awareness about Kaylee because, she has credit in this true crime community. Like, people listen to her and she has the following. So hopefully it can help, to calm the storm surrounding this case, to calm the hatred surrounding this family. It's absolutely devastating. Yeah, social media has definitely become a place where dehumanization is rampant. Having engaged with this family in person, I can see how it has been portrayed online is very different. Yes. Yeah, sadly, people who are wrong at times may do whatever it takes to spin it to fit their narrative, and law enforcement knows what they are doing. Yeah, and and they're investigating this as she could have possibly left with someone online. She met somebody online, met up with somebody, something happened along those lines. They're not they didn't do something to her. Her parents are not involved in her disappearance, other than she was upset because they took her phone. What were they supposed to do? Just let her keep talking to guys? I don't know. It's frustrating. Jolissa's family. Let me pull her up. So keep praying for Kaylee, you guys, and her family while they deal with all of this. Hopefully she is found soon. I would love to see if she's found safe, and maybe she's just at a friend's house in their basement hiding, or in the garage, or who knows. Like, maybe she's just hanging out. Maybe it was somebody she knew. Maybe it was a younger guy, a boyfriend or something that she left with. It's hard to say. I really hope that it's not a predatory type situation where she's like being trafficked or something like that. I hope she is okay and there on her own free will wherever she is. So Jolissa, she has a $15,000 reward now. This article came out yesterday. It says that a reward for information that helps find 22-year-old Jolissa Fuentes of Selma has now been increased by several $1,000s. It was increased from $10,000 to $15,000. The donation increase comes from Jolissa's family and community members gathered in Selma on Sunday morning to hold a raffle and fundraiser to help raise money for the ongoing efforts to find the missing woman. The family held a press conference on Saturday to urge anyone with information about Jolissa's disappearance to come forward to the Selma Police Department. It says, our daughter has now been missing for 34 days. That's 34 days too long. We need answers. We need your help. We need the community's help. Jolissa was seen driving away from the AM/PM store around 4 a.m. on Sunday, August 7th. If you guys remember, Adventures with a Purpose went out to try to search for her, and she wasn't found. They did actually see her later on that morning. They didn't give us an exact time, driving through an area up towards the one lake, and that's why Adventures with a Purpose went out. It was unclear if she was alone in her car at the time, whenever they had last seen her. But whenever she was at the AM/PM, she was alone. She was in a silver 4-door 2011 Hyundai Accent with a California license plate 8MPU 766. It's been a while since I kind of talked about her case, mostly because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but once a case starts to get viral and a lot of channels start to cover it, it's one of those situations where I kind of back off because I really want to focus on cases that aren't getting a ton of attention. So most of the time you'll see that, I'm one of the first or second to actually cover a case, usually whenever it first comes out. And then it starts to get picked up and it's like, okay, we did our job. We brought awareness and people are covering their story now. So that's kind of why I slowly move past. Yes, Kaylee, if you are watching, contact someone. Absolutely. One 16-year-old I spoke with that knew Kaylee said she must have had strict parents. My parents would never have taken my phone for something like that. And I cannot see any parent being okay with their child sending pictures like that. It's hard to in the mind. Someone may have taken her. However, it is absolutely in this world. Yeah, if you're watching, someone reach out. Okay. Absolutely. You know, kids these days, they are doing a lot of things online, a lot, and a lot of parents don't know or don't care. You know, I'm seeing things that 16-year-olds are doing that I never even thought about doing, like partying and different stuff until I was 18, 19, 20 years old. Did I drink whenever I was underage? Yes, it did happen. But I was literally like I said, 18, 19, 20. I would never even have dreamed of it at 14, 15, 16. Never encountered like pot or anything else like that until after I was 18. And I don't know if it's because I was raised strict or what it was like, but it just seems like parents are so hands off anymore. They don't even realize what their teens are doing a lot of times. So let's watch this quick video about Jolissa, and then I'm going to jump off here and hit the books with my son.
We miss her so much. And we are continuing to cover the search for Jolissa Fuentes. She has been missing since more than a month's time, and several organizations, investigators, and community members are also still looking. Today, family gathered at Lincoln Park in Selma together with the group National Center for Child Safety and Awareness. They joined the search and are helping to spread the word on Jolissa's disappearance. Her family is also continuing to thank those who have aided in the search for Jolissa and are encouraging the community to continue as well.
I'm Jolissa's mom. Our daughter's been missing now for 34 days. That's 34 days too long. We need answers. We need your help. We need the community's help, and the community has been amazing. So I just want to thank everyone that has been helping with the search, with putting out flyers, with sharing her information on social media, with everything that you guys have done. We are so blessed with you guys. But now I'm asking for your help. We need your help in finding my little girl.
I'm former law enforcement. I've worked these investigations. I've worked these type of crimes. And when we're working these cases, we're putting together a puzzle.
Several other organizations and volunteer groups are still searching. She was last seen at an AM/PM gas station on August 7th.
Wow. It seems almost like there's no info. She just kind of disappeared. And I know that the cell phone ping is kind of what they followed up to that lake. Doesn't mean that she necessarily was there, which is scary in itself. I know Adventures with a Purpose put out their members only videos about her. I don't know if it has went live yet. Let me see. I don't know if it's public still or if it's still members only. Okay, so it does look like it's public now. So if you guys are interested in watching Adventures with a Purpose video about Jolissa Fuentes, it is right here. And it looks like, I think they actually have two videos. They have a part 1 and a part 2. And so they are, they're kind of like, it looks like they interviewed the family. Obviously they went out and did their search. The first video looks like it's all just an interview with her family. And let me see if the second one has her perch or her search that they did for her. The thing that alarms me is, okay, so the second video is still members only. So once that stops being members only, I'll share that with you guys as well. Let's see. And so that one does. It has the video of their searches. And they did not find her. So they put kidnapped in their title. They put foul play in Kylie Rodney's title, murder. I wouldn't take that as, that she necessarily has been kidnapped. Certainly other things could have happened to her. Adventures with a Purpose are not law enforcement. They are not investigators. They simply go and search. They specialize in like sonar equipment. So please do not think that they are like the end all be all as far as opinions go in these cases. So I'm just going to put that out there, but pray for her family, guys. Keep that in your hearts. And I will see you guys later on this evening. I might have Grandma Julie from Ariel Sellers' case on with me tonight. And I know that Savage is planning to join me as well. And I'm going to talk to Lokomai and see if she wants to come on. Really want to deep dive into Ariel Sellers' case tonight because it is 1 year today that her adoptive monsters reported her missing. And we know now that they likely killed her in August, around August 18th. But it is 1 year officially. And the whole situation is just frustrating. Like there's a lot of stuff that has happened. The laws have not been passed that they wanted to get passed. Things were opposed that shouldn't have been. And then, of course, the family that fought so hard for her siblings won custody of them. They opposed Grandma Julie, tried to discredit her name, basically, and opposed getting the siblings, and they won. And then they kept the kids for about a month. They thought they were going to get to sue the state for what happened to Ariel. Once they found out that they couldn't sue the state, basically, they sent the kids back to CWS. And so her siblings are still in CWS custody, and her paternal side of her family is back at square one fighting for custody of those kids. And it's just absolutely infuriating. Especially since they were the ones on the news yesterday and went as far as to cry about the fact that the siblings are still in CWS custody. And I was so furious because they're there because you put them back there. And so it's just, I don't know. It was just the whole thing. But I look forward to talking about the case tonight, you guys. And I will see you all later. I hope you guys have a good day. Love you. Bye.